In this episode, we talked to a good friend of mine who runs a virtual agency, and she talks about a CRM tool that's all in one. We've heard about this tool before. We've actually had someone talk about this tool, and I can't wait for you to hear her perspective of how this tool could actually help you to rule your growth. Let's go dive right in. But before, please subscribe to our podcast, give us a rating, leave us a review, share this podcast. Would love to hear how we're doing. So let's go and let's dive right into chat with Denise. Denise, it's so good to have you. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today?
I'm absolutely great. Thank you. So thanks again for jumping in on the show. Tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Denise Cagan. I am located in Richmond, Virginia. My company is called DCA Virtual Business Support. And as the name suggests, we support small business owners, both with creative as well as administrative tasks.
Awesome. How did you get to this point though? Have you always been a business owner? Like, how did you get here, even from a marketing perspective?
So I have been a business owner for well over 20 years. But this was not my first business. I started a cleaning company in 2001, when I was tangentially working at Coca-Cola as well as a supervisor, lab supervisor, lab manager over top of biology, microbiology. Doesn't even seems like a different world from here. So I opened that company, and the first year I didn't make any money, but I felt like that was a positive sign based on what everybody was telling me about business.
Mhm.
And so I eventually left Coca-Cola and I went and did my own thing, created a cleaning company doing residential commercial cleaning. And then I sold the company in 2011, pretty much towards the tail end of the what's being termed as the Great Recession. And then I immediately started this company. So this company is, as I told you, what we do for a virtual assistant and creative assistant. It initially started, and there was no gap. There was like maybe a week. It initially started also with personal assistants. And while I did do that for about 2 years, and I had a lot of fun spending other people's money, it was not really a model that I could grow and scale. And so we changed strictly to virtual. So we've been really virtual and remote from about 2013. So it's wasn't pandemic related, but that's how I got to where I am today.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I mean, that's 2 decades of entrepreneurial journey. So that's really amazing. So we talked about the tool that you wanted to share with us, and we wanted our listeners to know a little more about that. So tell us about this tool and tell us what it is, and give us some insight on this particular tool.
So we began a journey with SharpSpring software. It's a SaaS product, which is software as a solution, and it's a competitor to HubSpot. We found it to be very intuitive. We started this journey in 2019 and then early 2020 for obvious reasons with pandemic happening and having to cut finances. We went ahead and got rid of it. For what it does, I think it's a very affordable product. Okay, we were paying maybe $600 a month, but for some small business, especially when the pandemic came around and you didn't know how things were going to go, cutting $600 a month to something you can only pay $99 for a month was very appealing.
Yeah.
So we did make that change. But if we could have stayed there, we would. And here's the reason why. SharpSpring gives a lot of things that integrate together that you're often using different systems for. So when you think about starting up as an entrepreneur, maybe you're using MailChimp and then maybe you're using Zoho. or Monday, or, those different types of tools to keep your information in. And then maybe you've got a free Hootsuite scheduling system. All of those items were able to be in SharpSpring. Okay.
Mhm.
So you've got your sales portion with your CRM, you've got your marketing portion that has scheduling available to it, also have your lead pages that you can create. And those lead pages, of course, feed into your sales CRM. So you've got all of those different aspects. You can create workflows, drip campaigns, the things that you would normally do in MailChimp or Constant Contact. But it's truly an all-in-one. And for what it was doing, honestly, it was one of the best solutions we had ever used. Eventually, we hope to get back there. But the other thing I would say is you really want to have a strong strategy before you do invest in a system like that, because it does take a little bit more to set that up. There are definitely some things out there that are simpler, easier for people who don't have a really good tech background to do, but it can be done, and they actually provide really great support.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. And just for listeners, so we've had some guests talk about SharpString before, so it's got to be true now that we've got someone else talking about it. So you should definitely take a look at it. So tell me, who is this tool for, really? Like, what's the target usually for this tool?
I would say businesses, once they get beyond startup phase, once they're planning on growing, and they really need systems to kind of marry together those marketing and those sales tactics. Because if they're not, then you've got things going on that are not cohesive, messages going out on social media, that may not match your emails. So, when you want a cohesive system, when you're ready for that point, or when you're ready to put all of your technology into one place, that's the time that a business owner is ready for it. So I would say growing businesses, beyond six figures.
Hmm. Awesome, awesome. And so how is this different though from, because you mentioned HubSpot as an alternative, but how is it different from the alternative, or even like different from like stuff that you probably use now?
So the main difference, because we work in HubSpot sometimes for our clients, the main difference is that HubSpot, with some of the marketing tools, your website needs to be on HubSpot,
Hmm.
unless they've changed that recently. And technology is always changing. With SharpSpring, it does not have to be. Okay. So that's the main advantage I found for business owners, is that you're not locked into hosting your website in a specific place.
Hmm.
HubSpot's just as robust of a tool. And it actually, HubSpot has a freebie version. SharpSpring does not. Okay. But with that freebie version, you're very much limited to what you're able to do. It is a good place to get your feet wet, though. Okay. And then you can add to it additional aspects of their services.
Okay, awesome. So, and then in terms of just practical stuff that you can actually do, I know you talked a little about some workflow and some things that you could do there that's similar to what you do, for example, in MailChimp or maybe in HubSpot. But talk to me a little about some of those things that the small business can actually do inside SharpSpring.
Sure. So, the obvious one that comes to mind is landing pages and lead generation. However, a lot of business owners overlook the fact that, hey, I've got new team members coming on, or maybe new clients. What about onboarding emails? We have an onboarding workflow for our team. So every few days when they're new, we've done their onboarding with them, but that's a lot of information to go through in 2 to 4 hours. They forget it. So we have these little tickler emails that come every couple of days. So we set that up. That's an evergreen workflow for the most part. We go in every 6 months to make sure something hasn't changed. But those are workflows that you can set up inside SharpSpring as well. And then the lead generation ones. So when you get somebody that comes to a landing page and they sign up for your list, or they download a white paper, whatever offer it is that you have there on your landing page. And the landing pages, by the way, would be created within SharpSpring as well. So once they do that, they get on your list. And so creating a nurture workflow. So basically that nurture workflow is where you're basically nurturing that relationship. Okay. A lot of the contents you may want to put in there is problem solution. That's what I call it. You present a problem that somebody was having and what you did to solve it. Very simple, one call to action. Don't make it overcomplicated. And I think that when folks DIY their stuff, they try to cram way too much into their messaging. So a nurture workflow that's very streamlined, about 8 touches or so. And then you can also put your regular email campaigns, the time-based ones. So if you do a monthly or weekly or whatever your frequency is, you can do those through there as well.
This podcast is sponsored by MeisterTask, the most intuitive task manager on the web. MeisterTask is an easy-to-use project management tool, makes it easy and fun and colorful to get all your projects managed in one place. As an entrepreneur, I use MeisterTask to help me manage all of my projects. I can drag and drop different tasks. I can assign key people to the task. I can set deadlines and schedules and enjoy just beautiful colors while I do that. So if you are interested in trying MeisterTask, go to meistertask.com/DMT tools. That's meistertask.com/DMT tools. And you can sign up for a free trial when you upgrade to the Pro plan. So get started for free today and invite your team members and get productive together. Awesome. And so obviously it sounds like this can be integrated with other tools, right? So if the listeners are using other tools and they want to kind of make this integration, this is definitely possible. And can you talk about some of the integration then that is doable using SharpSpring?
Well, because it's an all-in-one, you don't need a lot of integration. However, it does use Zapier, that you can connect it to a lot of other different softwares. I know Salesforce was one it connected with, certainly. And then, of course, it connects to all of your social media because it does post to social media as well. It does social media posting. So that's, what you can do. And with Zapier, honestly, almost any integration. So if for some reason you prefer a different CRM, Salesforce, or Keep, or Copper, whatever, you can integrate those.
Yeah. So the integration is key, and Zapier is like the king of integration these days because they have taken the hard work out of you having to use APIs for these different tools and just sort of have a central system that does all the integration for you. So it's kind of like an all-in-one integration tool, right? Like SharpSpring is a all-in-one CRM tool. Now, so if listeners are interested in this tool, Denise, what should they do, or what should they need to do to use this tool? You did mention it's not free, so it is a paid. But what should they need to do? So you just walk us through that process of signing up.
Sure. So you can go to sharpspring.com. Like I said, we used to be a reseller. We don't any longer, but I still believe it's a valuable tool. You can go on there. You can actually search for experts in your area on their website, okay? And they'll show up based on certification. They have 3 levels of certification. So the gold, the silver, and I think a bronze level. And they'll show up based on their certifications, how much training they've done, the testing. So the certifications are tested just like the HubSpot ones are. So you can search for that, select an agency, or you can go directly through SharpSpring. Either way is fine. The agencies sometimes have better pricing than SharpSpring directly does. So sometimes it's worth looking for an agency. But yeah, it's just sharpspring.com, and then you can go from there. And you can also
Nice.
check out their pricing on there. By the way, they do have individual pricing as well as small business pricing. So it varies just a little bit based on where you are in your business. If you're a coach and you're not really, a small, medium business, you can probably go in that individual pricing structure.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So if you don't have like your one man band, so to speak, you're a coach or a consultant, then you can also go with that. That's pretty good to know. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with us today?
No, I mean, other than, if you're not ready for that leap for the all-in-one, maybe consider you probably are using a tech stack that's instead of a stack, it's more like a vertical or a
Right,
horizontal rather.
right.
But you can also make those items work together. Okay. Consider, Pipedrive with MailChimp or Constant Contact with Zoho. Those things can talk to each other. Even if you're not ready for an integrated piece, make sure your items are integrated together.
Nice, nice. And I had a one because I know staying in business for years is not easy, and so I was curious to know, how have you done it? You're 20 years in the making, essentially, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. How have you done that? And really, what would you say has been the best thing that ever happened to you?
So let's start with how I've done it. The first thing is getting out of my own way sometimes. I can be a little bit hard-headed and opinionated. So working with mentors and coaches that I can use as sounding boards, and they'll let me know when I'm being a butt. Hey, we all have our qualities that are great, and we all
Yeah.
have our qualities that are not so great. So, and I think self-discovery for any entrepreneur and leader, understanding where your weaknesses are, and that's my weakness for sure. Understanding where those weaknesses are and learning how to take a step back when they start flaring up or get incited by whatever reason or whatever situation's going on. And then you also asked me the best thing that's happened to me.
Hmm.
So, um, the best thing is also, and these are more philosophical than anything. Um, it came to me probably. I know exactly when it came to me. So I had a granddaughter born 16 months ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And working with a consultant, kind of the whole action of working with the consultant and the birth of my granddaughter, kind of brought out to the forefront, hey, we are working to make a living, not living to make working to work. And so we've incorporated this in the business, throughout the business. And we had been doing it anyways, but it hadn't come to me exactly like that. I talk to my team members all the time because we're remote. Sometimes working from home, it feels like the office is never closed.
Yeah.
So working remote, I've been telling them, hey, you've got to have some work-life balance. If the husband's making faces at you and the kids are poking you, you got to take a break. Okay, it just is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, you're spending too much time on the computer. If you're tired, if you're getting in a head fog, get out of your own way, get up, go walk around, whatever. So really taking that philosophy of work-life balance and understanding that we're working to make a living. Okay. And that living needs to have purpose. And my granddaughter was really that thing that just kind of jumped out 16 months ago and was like, yep, here I am. So, yeah.
Nice. That is so awesome. That's great. I'm always curious to know what books interesting folks like you read, and I'm sure my listeners would love to know that too. So talk to us a little about that. Like, what books are you reading now?
So I'm looking at two right now, Book of Secrets by Chopra and Don Miguel Ruiz, Four Agreements, right in front of me. So those, again, are a little bit more philosophical in nature.
Hmm.
But then I've also got ones that are practical operations book, Who, as well as Why, Simon Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I know Simon.
I've got the books around here somewhere. I'm constantly moving them around. It might be up there somewhere. And the book Who, I don't recall the author off the top of my head, but that was also one that was advised by my consultant. And that was to help elevate the way that we hire.
Nice. So again, you mentioned some philosophical ones. Can you repeat those for us? That's the first two you mentioned. What were they?
Book of Secrets
Book
by
of Secrets.
Deepak Chopra.
Uh-huh.
And then the Four Agreements.
And the Four Agreements. Okay.
Yes,
awesome.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Awesome. And then the Who, we'll find the author and put it in the show notes. And then also you mentioned is it Start with Why with Simon.
Start with Why.
That's one. Awesome. And so what about podcasts? Do you have? I know you're host. I'm a listener of your podcast. I'm sure listeners would love to know about that.
Yes.
So what podcast are you listening to?
Well, I definitely listen to yours. I also like the Buzzsprout one. Buzzsprout gives you some really good practical tips as a podcaster. Mm-hmm. Those are the two main ones that I listen to. I'm more of a book person. I also don't like carrying my phone with me too much, so it tends to not be with headphones. Otherwise, I would be listening probably more often.
Right. And what's the name of your podcast?
Nurture Small Business.
Nurture Small Business. So that's your podcast. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I've listened to that too, and I really liked it. But that's great. I mean, one of the things that we do on this program is to look for creators and master users of different tools that can really help small business owners to rule their growth, I usually say, or control the growth. I believe that growth can be managed and it can be controlled. And so we're looking for recommendations and folks who we should be talking to. Does anybody come to mind as to who we should be talking to? Who'd be nice to have here to talk about a tool that can help a small business?
Well, one person comes to mind. She's another Goldman Sachs alumni, Trish Saman with Go Beyond SEO. They are phenomenal in what they do with the Google Analytics and Google Ads, AdWords, etc. They're just phenomenal. Most of the time, we refer to them because that's not a service that we offer. We don't do lead gen. So that's definitely one company that I would recommend.
Awesome. Well, definitely, if she's listening, we'd definitely love to have her. We'll reaching out to her in the Goldman Sachs community for her to jumping on this and share with us. Well, thank you so much, Denise. I really appreciate your time being here. Let us know real quick how to find you, your website, how to find your website, and maybe the podcast again.
Sure. You can get to the podcast from my website. So the website is DCAVirtual.com. That's D as in dog, C as in cat, A as in apple, and then the word virtual.com. That is the best way. There's contact forms there. There's scheduling links. The podcast is there, blogs there, all of that. Awesome.
Great. Well, it's great to have you. Hopefully it's not the last time. We'll definitely want to check in with you in a couple of months, see how you're doing and what you're up to. So thank you for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
That was an interesting conversation with Denise Cagan. She had talked about SharpSpring. Folks, if you haven't given SharpSpring a try, you should give it a shot. I think it's really, really helpful. It could really add some value in helping you to really understand matters relating to customer relations management, to grow and to control your growth. On this show, we're actually helping people to find tools, use systems that will help them to control and rule their growth. You can't measure it, you can't do it, which means you really can't control it. And that's the way to go. Don't forget to like us. Don't forget to give us a rating on the podcast and let us know how you're actually doing. We will definitely talk to you and see you soon on the next episode. Talk soon.